India has given its immigration laws a complete makeover. By replacing 4 old laws, the government has introduced the new Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025. Hello and welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nankyodier, and in this video, we will discuss the changes that have been introduced in this act. So the new Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025, it came into effect from 1st September 2025. So this act talks about the rules and regulations for the entry, the duration of stay and the exit of foreigners from India. So it talks about the registration process, the deportation, detention, the trial of illegal migrants. All these things have been discussed under this act. Now this act, it consolidates 4 older laws of 1920, 1939, 1946 and 2000. If you see, one is even a century old. So these were very old laws, British colonial era laws. They were very outdated, and that is why they were consolidated into one act, which is the Immigration and Foreigners Act of 2025. Now some special exemptions have also been provided to the persecuted minorities from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh, and the citizens from some other countries also, which we will be discussing in the upcoming slides. But before we do that, let us first understand the basics of this act. First and foremost, why is migration such a big deal for India? So as per the World Migration Report 2024, which is published by the International Organization for Migration, when it comes to destination country, the destination country for migration, India ranks 13th. And when it comes to the source of migrants, the origin country of migrants, India ranks the first. So for the source, for the origin country, we are the first, but even for immigrants, even for the people who are coming to India as a global destination country, we rank 13. So we have a fairly good number of migrants who come to India every year. That is why a need was felt for a proper uniform law to exist, so that their registration, their deportation, their duration, their documentation, everything can be properly taken care of. And these 4 laws which have now been replaced are the Passport Entry Act of 1920, Registration of Foreigners Act 1939, Foreigners Act 1946, and Immigration Carriers Liability Act 2000. So they have been consolidated into one act, which has come into effect from 1st September 2025. Now let's talk about the key provisions of this act. What does this act entail? So first and foremost, it talks about the registration of foreigners. Registration of foreigners. So this registration is going to happen at an individual level, which means that the foreigners who are entering India will have to register themselves with a body which is the FRRO, Foreigners Regional Registration Office. So these people, all the foreigners who are entering India, will have to register themselves with the FRRO. So this is going to happen at an individual level. Secondly, the institutions will also have to report the foreigners living with them. So institutional reporting is also going to happen. Institutional reporting meaning like the academic institutions or hospitals or PGs, homestays, all these places will also have to report the number of foreigners either living with them or enrolled with them or being treated by them. And who are they going to report all these things to? So this entire process has been centralized. So under the central government, we have the Ministry of Home Affairs, and this Ministry of Home Affairs has a Bureau of Immigration, which has been given statutory rights. So this Bureau of Immigration is going to maintain a central repository, a central database of all these foreigners. So individual registration is happening with FRRO, and institutional reporting is also happening at the institution level, and the Bureau of Immigration is going to maintain a central repository of all our foreigners coming and living in India. Next, what is going to happen if somebody has overstayed their duration or if they do not have valid documents? Deportation or detention? So detention and deportation have also been defined under this act. And who is going to take care of these deportation centers or these detention centers? It is the state government. So everything has been centralized. The central government is the main implementing authority, but the detention centers will be run by the state government. So the central government and the state government are going to work in collaboration with each other when it comes to the matter of detention or deportation. Next, who is going to decide if somebody is an illegal migrant? The foreign tribunals. So these tribunals, they are the quasi-judicial bodies who are going to decide if somebody is an illegal migrant or not, and if they are an illegal migrant, then they'll either be detained or deported. Next, there is also a concept of penalties. So penalties have also been prescribed for some crimes. So to ease out the legal burden of our courts, to bring it down, to reduce the legal burden, we also have the prescription of penalty, so that if in case some crime happens, the people, these foreigners, can just pay that penalty and a proper case will not be filed. So penalties are also there. Foreign tribunals are dealing with the deportation, they are dealing with the identification of illegal migrants. All these things are the key provisions of this new act. In fact, the central repository that I just told you about, that is also going to bring about something else, and it is going to modernize the entire thing, because we have the concept of biometric identification also. So these foreigners, they will have to register their biometrics also with the central repository to ensure the safety and security of our country, so that we know who's entering our country, who's staying here, who's leaving us. So proper biometrics are going to be lodged in this central repository, which will be maintained by the Bureau of Immigration. Earlier, this Bureau of Immigration only used to be an administrative body, but under this act, it has now also been given statutory or legal powers. So these are the new things that have been introduced in this act. Now, there are also some exemptions. As I already told you towards the beginning of the presentation, that some people have been exempted. Firstly, the citizens of Nepal and Bhutan. Nepal and Bhutan, they have been exempted because we already have some valid treaties with these two countries. So we are not going to persecute or detain the people, the foreigners who are coming from these countries, even if they overstay their duration, or even if they do not have valid documentation. So first exemption is the citizens of Nepal and Bhutan. Then we have the refugees from Tibet. Refugees from Tibet who have valid documentation, they will also not be persecuted or detained. Third, we have the families of armed personnel, armed forces personnel. The families who are traveling with them, they will also not be legally detained or persecuted. And lastly, we have the persecuted minorities. Persecuted minorities from three countries, three specific countries: Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. And who are these minorities, these persecuted minorities? Hindus, Jains, Sikh, Buddhist, Parsis, and Christians. Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, Buddhists, Parsis, and Christians. These are the religious minorities from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh who will be provided with an exemption. Now, if you recall, these are the same persecuted minorities who have also been discussed in the Citizenship Amendment Act. And there the cutoff date was 31st December 2014. Which meant that all these minorities, if they have entered India on or before 31st December 2014, they can apply for a citizenship. Here the cutoff date is 31st December 2025. 2024, which means that all these persecuted minorities, if they have entered India on or before 31st December 2024, they will not be legally persecuted or detained even if they do not have valid documents, even if they have overstayed their duration. So by this, India is wanting to project itself as a humanitarian relief provider, because we are providing relief to these persecuted religious minorities. So these are the exceptions that have been discussed in this act. Now let's talk about the impact or the implications of this act. So firstly, the impact is that everything has now been consolidated, centralized, and uniformity has been maintained. So earlier all these laws, they were fragmented, different states, they had different laws. Now we have a proper consolidation of laws. We have one proper uniform law which is going to deal with everything when it comes about illegal migrants. So consolidation and centralization has happened. Next, humanitarian relief is being provided. This I already told you, that India is projecting itself as a humanitarian relief provider. Modernization is also happening. So, security, national security is also being ensured, because now we have biometric information also of all these people. So modernization has happened, uniformity has happened, central government and the state governments are also going to work in collaboration when it comes about detention and deportation and all these things, and humanitarian relief is also being provided. So this is the impact and implication of this entire act. That was all for today's video. I hope you understood everything that we discussed. Now let us practice a question for prelims. Consider the following statements about the Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025. 1. It repeals the Foreigners Act 1946 and the Registration of Foreigners Act 1939. 2. It gives statutory powers to the Bureau of Immigration. 3. It exempts all foreigners entering India before December 31, 2024 from legal action. Select the correct answer. 2 and 3 only, 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, none of the above. Please provide your answers in the comment section and we will meet in a next video.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.